here with classical composers, and in today's video lesson we're going to learn how to open our baritone or euphonium case. We're going to learn the items inside of the case and the different parts of the instrument. We're going to learn how to assemble and build our instruments, and then we're going to learn how to maintain and clean our instrument. This is going to correspond with lessons 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the pre-method. So let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so right here in front of me is my baritone case, and this particular case is a hard case, meaning that it's made out of a hard plastic, and it's important to note that this case will protect your baritone from some things and it will not protect it from other things. For example, if you drop your baritone from really high, or if it gets hit by a car or something like that, the case is going to not offer much protection for that. But if you're walking around with your baritone, you accidentally bump it into a wall, the case is good for protecting it for things like that. So just always remember that just because the instrument's in the case doesn't mean that it's 100% protected from whatever may happen to it. Okay, so let's learn how to open the case now, and it's important that when you open the case you have plenty of space around you because it is a fairly large instrument, and it's important that we understand what the top part of the case is versus the bottom part, because we're going to want to make sure that we open it the correct direction so that things don't spill out. So the easiest way for me to identify which is the top of the case and which is the bottom of the case is that the latches, they go up, and so that's the easiest way that latches are going to go up. The other way that you can identify it is that the brand of the case, right here, is going to be on the top. And then the final way that you can tell is that the lid of the case is going to be smaller than the bottom of the case. So with those three ways, you should be hopefully able to easily identify which part is the top of the case. So we're going to start by opening up the top of the case, and let's check out what's inside. Okay, so inside what we have is we have the baritone, which is the main thing that we see inside of this case. We also have our mouthpiece, and then we have some cleaning and maintenance items that are going to be important as well. We're going to have some valve oil right here. Your valve oil might be this color, it might be clear. We're going to have some tuning slide grease right here, and then there might be some additional items that are in your case that are not in mine, such as a cleaning cloth, a mouthpiece brush, or a cleaning snake. So let's go ahead and go over our parts of the baritone. So I'm going to pull my baritone out of the case. I'm going to go ahead and walk forward here so that we can get a little bit of a closer look here. And the first thing that we're going to look for is the bell, and this is at the top of the baritone, and the bell is where the sound comes out of. The next part of the baritone that we're going to take a look for is the lead pipe, which is right here. This is on the opposite side of the instrument, and the lead pipe is where your mouthpiece is going to get placed into. On the back of the baritone, we have the water key right here, and what's going to happen is that as you play, water is going to build up in your baritone. You're going to have to empty the water out by pressing this. And then over here, you're going to have your valves. And on this particular baritone, there are 3 valves. Your baritone may have a 4th valve, but we're going to have our first valve, which is going to be operated by our pointer finger, our second valve operated by our middle finger, our third valve operated by the ring finger, and then if you have a pinky valve, that'll be operated by your pinky. Sometimes baritone valves might be on the other side of the instrument, they might be in front, so it just kind of depends on your particular model of baritone where the valves are placed, but it's always going to be played by the right hand, and it's always going to be pointer finger, middle finger, ring finger, and sometimes the pinky. Moving forward, we have the main tuning slide, and to find the main tuning slide, you have to follow the tubing. And so we'll start the bell, you follow it around, and then you're looking for right here where the slide can be pulled out. So this will be the main tuning slide. And then also each valve is going to have a tuning slide. So this is our first valve tuning slide, our second valve one, and then our third valve one is going to be right there. So those tuning slides are going to be important later, but it's important that as a beginner that you understand at least where they are on the instrument, and you'll learn all about those as you progress later and later and later and later. Okay, so now that we've identified the parts of our baritone, we're going to learn how to build a baritone, and this is a fairly simple thing to do. You're going to get your mouthpiece out of your case, you're going to put your baritone across your lap, and what you're going to do is you're going to carefully place your mouthpiece into the lead pipe of the baritone. You're just going to place it in there, and then you're going to give it a quarter twist, and then that'll be enough friction to keep the mouthpiece in the lead pipe without it falling out. That's all you need to do. You don't need to hit it in. You don't need to screw it a bunch of times to get it in. Just place it, give it a quarter twist, and you're all good to go. And now this baritone is built and capable of making a sound. So now we're going to learn how to take apart our baritone, and then we're going to learn about some maintenance. So to take it apart, you just give it a twist and pull the mouthpiece out. We're going to first return the mouthpiece to the case like this. And then we're going to carefully place our baritone back in the case. And when you place your baritone in the case, your baritone's designed to go only one direction in your case, so if it doesn't fit, then you have it in the wrong spot, and you need to either spin it around or flip it around so that it fits, and you don't ever want to force anything because that's when accidents happen. Okay, baritone's in the case, mouthpiece is in the case. We're going to go ahead and latch our case back up here, and now baritone is put away, it's safe, it's in our case, and we're good to go. Okay, let's learn about some maintenance for the baritone. And properly maintaining your instrument will make it last longer, and it will make sure that it's working too. So, the first thing we're going to learn about is oiling our valves. So, as you're playing, what might happen is that your valves might get stuck. And what you're going to need for that is you're going to need some valve oil. So, right now, these valves, they work, they're moving nicely, but if a valve ever gets stuck and you can't press it down, it's time for some valve oil. So what you're going to want to do is this, and I'll try and get closer here so that we can see. You're going to find the stuck valve, and what you're going to do is you're going to carefully unscrew the stuck valve right here. Once it's all the way unscrewed, you're going to pull out the valve, and then what you're going to do is you're going to carefully place a little bit of valve oil on the bottom part of the valve. And just a few drops is plenty. You don't need to drench the thing in valve oil, just a few drops should be good. Once you've done that, you're gonna go ahead and place the valve back in. And then you have to line everything up. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna twist it to the right until right there it locks into place. Once it's locked into place, you're going to twist, and the baritone should, once it's locked, be all good to go now. Give the stuck valve a wiggle to spread the valve oil around, and now you should be good to go. You only need to oil your valves as needed. This is definitely not an everyday thing. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to learn how to use slide cream to lubricate our tuning slides. These tuning slides are important that they can move as you're playing, and if they ever get stuck, then you're going to need to put some slide cream on them. So we're going to start with our first tuning slide, and we're going to learn how to do this one, and the same rule is going to apply for all the other tuning slides and your main tuning slide and back. So what you're going to do is that in order to pull this out, it's important that you press down your first valve. So if I'm pulling out the first tuning slide, first valve needs to be pressed. Second tuning slide, second valve needs to be pressed. Third tuning slide, third valve needs to be pressed. It's important that you do that. So I'm going to pull my tuning slide completely out. I'm going to set the baritone down for right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of this tuning slide cream. I'm going to place a little bit of it on my finger. And I'm going to go ahead and close this back up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread it around with both fingers. And I'm just going to spread it all over the inside of the tuning slide. So now that I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my baritone back here. And I'm going to insert one side of the slide in, this side, spread it around. I'm going to take the other side, I'm going to spread it around here. And now I'm going to put both parts back in. And it's important that I line this up correctly. And now my slide is all set and it'll move. You do the same thing for your second valve, your third valve, and for your main tuning slide. Lubricating your slides is not an everyday thing. You only do it as needed to make sure that your slides are properly working and they can easily move in and out. The final thing that we're going to learn how to do is how to empty the water cube. Now, what's going to happen is that as you're blowing air through your baritone, the air is going to condense. And every time that air condenses, it turns into liquid. In this case, it will turn into water. And what happens is that the water is going to build up inside of the baritone, and then eventually it's going to get so built up that as you're playing, you're going to hear a gurgling sound. And when you hear that gurgling sound, it's not going to sound too good, and that means that you've got too much water built up in your instrument and you have to empty your water key. So on the back side of this baritone, and your water key might be located in a different spot, but this is where this one is. You're going to see right here is going to be the water key. So you're going to press that, and then what you're going to do is you're going to just blow air through the baritone while pressing the water key at the same time. And it's important to not make a sound while you're doing this. So I'm just going to be blowing air through, and then that's going to get all of the water out of the baritone. It's important that you empty your water key frequently. So whenever I'm playing, I'm emptying my water key maybe every minute, maybe every 2 minutes, but it's a pretty frequent thing to get all of that water out. And definitely after you're done playing, you want to empty that water key out before you put your instrument away. So take the time to take care of your baritone, to properly assemble it, to take care of all the parts, to oil your valves if they get stuck, to grease your slides if they get stuck, to empty that water key out, and to treat your baritone right so that it lasts you a long time and so that it works correctly.